I'm Batman. Actually, I'm not Batman. I am Shelby Williams with Plano City Council and chairman of the Collin County Republican Party, but I had you go in there. You thought I was Batman. Pretty cool, huh? This is the part of your social media-ing day where you get to hear about all the riveting things happening on Plano City Council. But first, if you didn't notice, there is an election going on. So go vote right now. Go vote. Unless you're watching this after polls are closed, in which case tomorrow, go vote. In which case you're watching this on Saturday after early voting is all over, in which case go vote on Tuesday, November 5th, which is election day. Early voting ends this Friday, November 1st. Unless you're watching this on Wednesday, November 6th, in which case you missed the vote entirely. Sorry, you're out of luck. You got to wait a couple of years. Or you can vote in the local elections next May. But I digress. Early voting for local elections will actually start in April, so you can get a head start. Unlike this election where you missed early voting. So during the preliminary open meeting tonight, we first discussed extra duty solutions, EDS, not the EDS most people in Plano are familiar with, which is being renovated, by the way, into a life sciences park. The EDS we're talking about, extra duty solutions, is a solution for off-duty police officers to basically be hired as off-duty officers, private security, for various events. So a lot of our churches, for instance, they hire off-duty officers to help with security, traffic, etc. on weekends. So we signed a contract with them in June of last year, June of 2023, and we've essentially been piloting the program. Part of the value proposition that was provided with extra duty solutions, there are a couple of solutions that do the same thing, but there are some differences. And this was compared with another solution called Roll Call, ROLLKALL, I believe. But one of the pieces of the value proposition that was provided with extra duty solutions was that we would effectively get at no cost an on-duty software solution. And the reason this came onto our radar is because using extra duty solutions, which is a third party, there would have been a 10% increase to the fees charged for the off-duty officers by many of our community partners, and a 10% increase all at once. And so we have effectively absorbed the cost of that and grandfathered some folks in, or grandfathered everybody who was under the program in for that under the old fee structure. But we were effectively supposed to get for free an on-duty solution. However, we hadn't evaluated that on-duty solution. It was being pitched as part of the value proposition of extra duty solutions. Is it actually going to meet our needs? How does it stack up with other platforms? We didn't know. So we had determined that we would separate that equation for the moment from the off-duty solution and just pilot the off-duty solution. We got a report tonight. We're going to extend this a little bit longer, but we did determine tonight that we put on hold the on-duty solution temporarily, but that's not forever. And so we need to start evaluating the efficacy of the on-duty solution, because and I said this tonight, I can see a time where we've been on the off-duty solution so long, and then even if we do an RFP or start effectively evaluating on-duty solutions, we're going to say, well, we already have the off-duty portion of this. We need to just go with this on-duty solution. And I don't think we should make our decisions that way, but we want to make sure that we're getting the best solution available for our police, as well as, of course, for our citizens. We then went on to a DART update. Regular viewers of this recap know that this has been something I've been hot on the trail on for a long time. Now, Michael Morris with the Regional Transportation Council and the North Central Texas Council of Governments, the COG for short, Council of Governments, has asked the mayors of the 6 cities who have passed resolutions calling for a 1/4 cent reduction in the city's sales tax contribution to DART. If you've never watched this recap before, long story short, DART, Dallas Area Rapid Transit, is funded primarily by 1 cent sales tax from each of its member cities. So state of Texas charges 6 1/4 cents. Cities have the option of an additional 2 cents. So half of our 2 cents, 1 cent, goes straight to DART. That was 114 million of your tax dollars last year. Yes, million. So Michael Morris asked to meet with the mayors of the 6 member cities that, starting with Plano this year, started to pass resolutions calling for a 1/4 cent reduction in that. So we met, or rather the mayors met, and we established 3 top priorities. There are a lot more. 3 top priorities that we would like to Michael Morris to present to the DART board. That would be before going to the state legislature next year. The first priority is a general mobility program. This is what we most recently proposed in a meeting with the DART board and folks invited from the member cities, which I led, to say that a 1/4 cent that would otherwise go to DART, we want to use for transit-oriented purposes, whether that's filling potholes or hovercraft, whatever. The second is a la carte options for DART service. We have been in largely a one-size-fits-all model for the past 40 plus years. And we see it in empty buses and largely empty trains. So we want to be able to have an a la carte model with piecemeal solutions where we can select what makes the most sense for Plano instead of DART saying we're just going to run these bus routes in Plano and the buses are still going to be empty. And lastly, again, this is just the top 3 priorities. There are many more things that should be done. A Legacy West circulator and shuttle. We have GoLink, which I think is the thing that works best out of the DART system. That's a low bar, but I think GoLink works best in the DART system. But it's not a true circulator around the Legacy West area and the corporate part. So it was noted tonight that, there was a shuttle for a while at least, but it was a GoLink shuttle running directly between the Toyota campus and Legacy West. But we got a lot more businesses in the area, and we should have a true circulator going through the area. But the 15-minute walk, 10 to 15-minute walk from an office or a campus to the dining area for lunch, and then a 15-minute walk back, as I noted in the meeting, a 15-minute walk in August might kill you. So having that kind of circulator or shuttle would be a big boon. We then moved on to a discussion about comments of public interest. So while council chambers have been under renovation, we've been at Davis Library. And we moved comments of public interest to the end of the meeting due to some problematic comments of public interest and some profanity, especially when there were kids present. This is more so in council chambers, as Councilman Riccadelli noted tonight, because we would have kids, scout troops, etc., Girl Scouts come to recite the pledges, and then comments of public interest would be held right after that. And kids could still be present in the audience, and there was some content during comments of public interest that should not be in front of kids, just shouldn't. But we've also restricted comments of public interest while we've been at Davis Library to Zoom, which I disagreed with at the time, but that's what we did. The discussion was had tonight to, once we're back in council chambers in December, to continue to restrict comments of public interest via Zoom while we adapt to the new council chambers. The whole thing's been renovated. And so I want, and several council members expressed this, we who expressed it, want citizens to be able to come and speak face-to-face with council members and not be relegated to Zoom. And I understand all the concerns, but I think it's very important that people get to look us in the eye while we're a captive audience at a council meeting. And I like that citizens have the option of Zoom if they choose, but I want to see them be able to come in person. And so there was at least enough support to limit the pilot from the proposed 1 year, keeping people away from comments of public interest in person, to 3 months or so. But that's where we got tonight. We then had a brief discussion about creating an arts grants working session to kind of discuss our philosophy in doing that. As an aside, one of the beneficiaries of our arts grants has been North Texas Performing Arts for many years. And you might have noticed that I'm looking a little unkempt lately. My hair is longer, my beard is longer, and as I mentioned previously on this recap, I'm playing in the North Texas Performing Arts annual production of Scrooge. This will be the 14th annual production of Scrooge for my second year in a row. Last year I performed as Mr. Fezziwig, and it was a freaking blast. It was so much fun. It's scary. My little girl participated with me, and we're both doing it again this year. She is going to be Jenny, little Ebenezer's sister, and I am the Ghost of Christmas Present. And so the Ghost of Christmas Present is kind of a wild man, and so I'm growing out my hair and my beard to match the role. And I'm really looking forward to it. We're in rehearsals right now. Opening night is December 11th, I believe, and it'll run for a couple of weeks, performing at the Courtyard Theater and Willow Bend Theater. And I'm really looking forward to it because it's a lot of fun. So moving on to our regular meeting. The peanut butter drive is over, and thank you, Planoites, for delivering the win to Plano for the North Texas peanut butter drive, where we collected almost 10,000 pounds of peanut butter by the city of Plano. That's a lot of peanut butter. Thank you. Next, we talked about zoning for Beacon Square. So no new apartments were added. I'll just skip to the punchline. What this was fairly interesting. The phasing for Beacon Square, which is off Mapleshade and Coit, more people will know it closer to George Bush and Coit. It's a big mixed-use development, and it was on one of the few greenfield areas left in Plano. Now, part of the retail frontage on Coit was postponed. It was put in a future phase, like phase 3. They wanted to move that up into the current phase, phase 1, because the retail they've already built facing Coit has been so successful. Now, I want you to remember that in many projects we've heard in recent years, we're told that retail can't work. Retail is not successful. We have to minimize the retail. And I think, as always, it depends on the nature of the retail and the location. But in this case, it has been so successful that they want to move up the construction of the rest of the retail. So, hey, it passed unanimously, 8-0. Lastly, we moved on to our legislative agenda. This is what we're going to advocate for in the next legislative session in Texas, and as it applies in Washington, D.C. as well. So some highlights. To no surprise, we're emphasizing our home rule ability as a home rule city to make our own decisions. We're emphasizing public transit vis-a-vis DART reform and modernization and all of the priorities that I just mentioned earlier. We would like the DART board to vote to give us that. I am skeptical, but we're still going to try. But we are not going to pursue this in the state legislature as well. And there's some cleanup on Senate Bill 2. I advocated for this when I was first running for council in 2019. I led a rally for property tax reform on the south steps of the Capitol while I was a candidate for city council. And SB 2 passed, Senate Bill 2. And one of the artifacts from that is that properties where the property tax bill is in dispute, basically, they get effectively removed from the tax rolls entirely for purposes of determining your valuation while they're in limbo, while they're in litigation, discussion, discovery, etc. And that affects our no new revenue rate and our voter approval rate. So we're looking for a little cleanup on that bill to give us a better disposition with those disputed properties. We're also looking to expand our uses of the hotel occupancy tax, often referred to as the hot tax, but that's actually double taxing. No pun intended. Actually, I lied. Pun fully intended. Hotel occupancy tax, hot, when it's hotel occupancy, a hot tax is a hotel occupancy tax. But we're looking to add Plano to a specific list of cities statewide that can use their hotel occupancy taxes for a broader list of things than any other city. So that's something we're going to be pursuing as well. just to expand the number of uses. The number of uses to which we can put the hot are very few and defined and finite. So we're looking to be added to the list of cities based on our size and other factors to be able to use that money for more purposes. And lastly, Councilman Riccadelli proposed adding to our legislative agenda, lobbying the legislature for updates to the Public Funds Investment Act. Basically, this limits what cities can invest our capital in our investment portfolio based on the SLY principles: security, liquidity, and yield. And so in that order: security first, then liquidity, then yield. And we discussed a couple of things. We don't want to necessarily sacrifice the security aspect of it, but we can do things like say that for investment in the S&P 500, which Councilman Riccadelli brought up, has never gone to zero. It's come and gone over time, but it has outperformed the two-year Treasury bond like forever. So the legislature could modify the Public Funds Investment Act to maybe make sure it's held on a 5-year term, and the city's not day trading with its portfolio. And I further suggested that it could be limited to a specific proportion of the portfolio, like no more than 10% can be invested in index funds, for instance, like an S&P 500 fund. So that had enough support to add to the legislative agenda. That's, if it's ever going to happen, that would be most likely a multi-session effort in the legislature. But that's it for now. I am Shelby Williams. I am also I'm Shelby Williams with Plano City Council. I am also Collin County Republican Party Chair. I am also the Ghost of Christmas Present, but I am not Batman. I am not actually Batman. So put that out of your systems. Thank you for listening, and thank you for making it this far, and God bless.